This is the thinnest flood shield I've ever seen. Can it resist the onslaught of the hordes? When we used sandbags to fight floods, the Bible invented out a kind of red plastic water shield. Named Noah Boxer. It's shaped like an L-shaped instrument. We used to use it in school. When you use it, just put it together. It doesn't need outside forces. You just have to stand on the ground to stop them. Do you know what this principle is? Turns out, under the base of these shields, there is a layer of rubber. It increases friction with the ground, prevent it from being washed away by floodwater. What's interesting, the bigger the water, the stronger the shield. Because of the weight of water, all the way down to the base of the shield, L-shaped protrusion just needs to be shielded inside. The height of this protrusion is about 50 centimeters. That means as long as the flood doesn't exceed the entire flood water will be trapped inside the shield. In fact, even if they go beyond the height of the shield, you don't have to worry because the bottom is tight. There is absolutely no need to worrying that it will fall. More than each plate. The shield weighs 3.4 kilograms, and the edges of each plate are locked the shields together and then put it in a long line. Its flood resistance can't be taken lightly. According to information, 2 people can assemble 100 meters in just half an hour. It's just that the price is quite high. Up to $1,000 per shield. Cost for one flood protection. At least thousands of dollars. Actually, since 2013, there's a kind of flood protection tool out there. It's the same with this Swedish shield. June 2013, in the northern town of Jeremy, the heavy rain lasted for 2 weeks. The water level has reached an alarming level. Have temporarily erected from the river you can see. The area is not surrounded. Has become a vast sea of water. While the area is built, the flood shield was successful in stopping the flood. However, this type of flood shield has slits along the middle, make the water It's inevitable to erupt through those slits. Finally, after only a short time, this flood shield has lost its resistance due to serious water leakage. There's also a kind of fully automatic flood shield. Normal, it's hidden under the ground and completely unnoticed. When there is a flood, the sensor inside will detect water level and activate the switch. Then the shield, the underground, will automatically block the water. Actually, in addition to improving flood prevention facilities, some people even think about tackling at the root. Study of the surface materials that flood water will come into contact very normal, but it's actually full of high-tech. No matter how much water it can all be completely absorbed. It's like the ground is drinking water. It's actually an eco-absorbent concrete invented by a foreign building materials company. Pouring water on the surface, the water will seep right down, leaving a dry surface with no trace of water. This material is made from small concrete stones, water-repellent additives, and be mixed according to a certain proportion, materials, light background, and many holes. On its surface, it's 15% to 25% porous, with water permeability reaching 31 to 5 when to this material is on its way. As much rainfall can also be absorbed. I don't worry about infiltration anymore. So do you think this solution is possible? This is a monorail. It was invented over 100 years ago by an engineer. It seems to go against the laws of physics because this ship doesn't need a human operator but can still automatically adjust the angle on the tracks without overturning. Originally, the inventor, Louis Brandon, Rose patent aims to reduce the cost of building railways and help the train run faster. He's put a gyroscope on top of the ship. Just the circular disc in the middle its angular momentum will automatically maintain if there's an external force that tilts it will automatically rotate in the opposite direction on the vertical axis. This principle is called progress gyroscope. Even if you can get a train a second on the road, Ray is like a flipper, but it can't be. To solve this problem, Brandon has added a second gyroscope to the top of the ship and let it spin in the opposite direction. He connected the outer rings of the two gyroscopes together by gears. Thanks so every time a gyroscope moves, the other one will move in the opposite direction. Now when you take the train a second into the bend, the two swivel because they both want to maintain their angles. There should be a conflict and it's going to kill the momentum to follow the ship's movements to turn. After this issue is resolved, Brandon was overjoyed. He immediately built a train car, a 12 meters long open top wire weighing 20 to Inside is equipped with two large gyroscopes spinning at 3,500 revolutions per minute. After the first test run, he discovered another serious problem. The ship is too heavy. Gyroscope doesn't just have to deal with the spinning force but also against the pull of the train's gravity. This causes the left-right angle of the ship become very large in the process of moving. Even though I'm back, switch can quickly readjust the angle. But the train keeps swaying left and right. It makes the passengers inside very uncomfortable. So Brandon realized he had to find a way to control the velocity amplitude of the gyroscope. And so he lasted axis of gyroscope out shell, then install a guide plate on both top and bottom. Every time the shaft touches the guide plate, it'll roll on the plate like a wheel rolling on the ground, so that the forward angle of the train is controlled. Help the train 1 second, no more strong wobble phenomenon. When Brandon tried again, he realized the force touching between shaft and guide plate is easy to damage the gyroscope. So he cancelled this design and replaced by a pneumatic control mechanism. The first, he installed a mechanism that needed to be moved to the gyroscope. This lever is connected with two pneumatic
valves.
flow regulator. Compressed air is led through into two large tubes in the middle of the gyroscope. There is a gear rack inside. It's in the middle of two gyroscopes. Every time the ship tilts to one side, to dynamically connect with gyroscope will automatically
due to the angle of
compressed
inclination.
air will go into a conduit
Gear
and
in the
push
middle.
Force gyroscope adjustable in the opposite
until
direction. The vessel returns to equilibrium. The whole process happens in seconds. This also helps. The 1 second train always remains in equilibrium. Brandon's design was a huge success. However, investors believe not only does his design not save material, it also increases the cost of the train. This project was eventually stopped. But I'm curious, if you put a gyroscope on a bicycle or a motorcycle, is it more effective? No. This is a nearly $3,000 before use. The camera and GPS will be removed. It has extremely high encryption. Criminals are very fond of encrypted phones. If you want to own this phone, first you need a Google Pixel phone. Then install a custom operating system called Accent. At first glance, it's no different than any other phone. On the screen, full display of commonly used applications. But when you click on the app, it won't work. In fact, this is just a wallpaper. Only if the correct password is entered. Have access to the real operating system. After entering, you only see CBA is to install the clock and the computer. It can be used as a normal computer. But once entered such private code, the core of the new encrypted phone can be opened. This is a hidden channel. The encrypted phone's exclusive name will appear. Not only can you send encrypted messages, it's also sending encrypted photos and videos. Built-in filter will automatically blur the important parts so that the user's identity cannot be traced. When a user sends a voice message, voice will be automatically converted to electronic voice. Your mother doesn't even realize you're a merchant. Its communication system even has a self-contained function. You can install it delete after 30 seconds or days. This ensures all data in the phone will be deleted after a while. Even if you are discovered, you can do the remote control. With the push of a button, all data in the phone will be deleted. You can also try to see if there a remote detonation function. But what you don't expect is, this highly secure phone is from the FBI, custom designed for criminals. After learning that spiders can fly, I don't feel well in my whole body. I've always thought that climb the tree first and then swing the rope down. But the truth has opened my eyes. It's actually all because of the power of electricity. In my school years, we've learned about negative and positive charges. The same charge pushes each other. The other charges attract each other. There's actually a lot of electrical charge in the atmosphere. While the ground has a lot of negative charge. The tree where the spider is standing becomes a negatively charged area. Understand this principle. I must have seen my video. Pay attention when spiders want to release a secure silk to fix down to the ground. And then the spider releases a lot of thin silk into the air. These spiders are all negatively charged. When there's enough silk, that is, when the repulsion of electric make enough to balance the spider's gravity, the spider will cut off this safe silk so it flies. For example, this is like after we've rubbed the balloon against our hair can float in the air. When flying, the spider will adjust and based on changes in the electric field, so that spiders can freely glide through the air. Looking for a new place. Flying distance of spiders can sometimes reach thousands of kilometers. It's even going up into the stratosphere. They fly completely in spite of gravity. Amazing. Have you ever seen a flying spider with your own eyes? No, I always did not understand it. It's called an air switch. What does this have to do with air? So it's different from an electric limb protector. Today, we'll see how it works through tissue. This BAD, when we were kids, there's usually a fuse at the junction. This is no stranger. If there is an overload or short circuit, the fuse will burn out and the power is cut off. Then you have to replace the fuse before you can power it back up. Fuse have simply been replaced by breakers. Electricity is smarter. The air switch is one of them. This is the internal structure of the air switch, mainly by Hokwon stamping set switch, 7-blow mechanism and electric coil inside the electromagnetic coil. There's also an EXO of an and a small pin. This is the key to shutting off the power. When you push the switch up to EXO furnace, will adopt 7-blow metal bar up. The circuit is now connected. If the switch is pushed down with the same principle, the metal will be pushed down. Circuit is disconnected when working normally. Current coming in from the input through coil and finally exits through the air switch. If there is a short circuit, the current will surge within a few milliseconds. Now the coil will generate a strong magnetic field. As mentioned inside the coil with EXO furnace, the magnetic force will pull the pin down. The small pin, when touching 7, will push down. 7 will push the metal bar below raw. So the circuit is disconnected. The switch is also pulled down by 7. You'll hear a split when you turn off the power. After troubleshooting, push switch up. As shown earlier, the circuit will be reconnected. The power cut principle is clear. So what does this have to do with Because in the moment the circuit is disconnected, there will be an arc. Temperature and electricity is very high now. It doesn't just damage the contact points. It also extends the time of the circuit breaker. Hokwang stamping equipment next to it will work. It's made up of a row of mesh shapes. When the water rises, it will go inside. Then it's separated in the filter. The power of these small grids has also been increased. And the arc gets weaker. In addition, the high temperature will also decrease rapidly. Finally, it's completely off in the Hokwang stamping equipment. It's actually solved the Hokwang problem in there. Then let it cool itself in the air until it shuts off. So this has to do with air. It's called the Hokwang stamping method. Then the difference between air work and detector protection work. What is rust? It's very confusing. Air work, mainly overload and short circuit protection, similar to the function of the fuse. Leak detection protection is also known as electrical detection. It's mainly focused on the prevention of electrocution. At the same time, it also has a short circuit protection function. It can be a total switch, and from there split the detector switches. But the electric detector switch can't be replaced. The electric detector switch has a very clear push once a month press. The goal is to check if there's a problem. See if it can shut off the power normally. I guess very few people actually press that button. After watching this video, remember that pressing once a month is essential. Let's say there are 100 prisoners, numbered 1100. You're the warden of this prison right now. You'll give them one last chance. As long as they get through the game, they're free. The game goes as follows. You'll put pieces of paper with the prisoner's number into 100 random boxes and then put it in a closed room. Only one prisoner was allowed into the room each time. They can open randomly 50 boxes to find your number. After the test, they had to leave the room. The whole process. Not allowed to communicate with other prisoners. You're not allowed to check the box. Then the next prisoner comes in to find his number. This will continue if the entire 100 prisoners found their numbers. They will be released immediately. But just one person can't find their number. They will be dealt with immediately. However, before entering the prisoners can discuss strategy. What is their best strategy? If each prisoner just randomly opened 50 boxes, the probability of success is only 50%. So the probability to all 100 the prisoner finds his number is 1/2 times 1/2. That's 1/2 of a hat. 100 0.00003. Finally, a number 8. In terms of probabilities, these prisoners are certainly not going to live through the night. But if there's a strategy that can increase the likelihood, their survival is over 30%. So first of all, this is a mathematical problem. This is not a puzzle. This problem is actually caused by computer scientists launched in 2003 when he asked the question, you don't know how to deal with it. Strategy. It's your colleague who thought of solving the problem. Then they both wrote an article. The article provided an approach to solving the problem. In fact, the key to success is not decide which boxes to open because you don't know the previous person's test results. You can decide. The next step is based on information available. Now we're going to assume you're one of the prisoners. When you walk into the room, you should start opening the box with your own number. In most cases, the number in the box is not your number, but not at all. You keep looking for the box with the number on the paper. If the number on the paper in the box is someone else's, for the next box. You keep looking forever until you find it. The box has its own number. In fact, that's the box that you check first when you enter the room. That sounds like a weird idea. But this method can increase survival. All prisoners up to 31%. The first box to note if you find the number following this logic. All the boxes will become part of the loop. Closed. One OOPCS box can have many different loops. Let's take the example of 7 boxes. The simplest loop is the number on the paper in the box number. If you're prisoner number 1 after opening the gearbox, you will find your own paper. There are only a few in this loop, or a loop can have 2 numbers. Let's say after opening the gearbox, a piece of paper says 7. Then you go to box 7, where write number 1 loop can have BA for year's number. Arbitrary length of loop. The longest is when all 100 numbers are repeated, in one round, but usual. As long as your numbers are randomly assigned to boxes, will all form different long and short loops. After you start from the box with your own number, you're going to enter one of the specific loops. And in this loop, the paper in the last box will have a number. It's the same number as the box you opened first. So that's what determines whether you're successful or not. It's actually the length of the loop where your paper is. The prisoners have 50 times the chance to open the loop where your number is located is less than 50. Then you have succeeded. If the length of the loop where your number is located is longer than that, all prisoners lost 7. Maybe you're thinking, the paper I'm looking for may not be in this loop. Not really. The beauty of this method is each prisoner starts with a box with his number. Paper in the box. He's going to decide the next box. He's going to check the paper and find the next box. So the paper and the box form a uniform loop sequence. You just go. Follow this sequence. Continue.
In this loop,
Follow the
sequence.
paper in the last box
will point to the number of the first box.
In other words, if unfortunately the loop where your number is located is 51, then all 50 people in that loop will lose 7, and all the prisoners tonight will lose 7. So the ability of all prisoners to succeed is the probability that in a random of 100
loop
PCs
length
not
boxes
exceed 50 PCs box. Just calculate the probability that the loop is the
longer
rest
than
is
50.
probability. The success of the prisoners. Conclusion of Minson's research paper
is not ABA.
Actually, if the number of prisoners is increased to 1,000, the overall success rate of all prisoners will be greater than 30%. This result is really quite surprising because the success rate of 100 prisoners is 31%. This is higher than your success rate, and the success rate for each prisoner is only 50%.